This is a Gdańsk, a legendary tier pan-European destroyer, which is available as a Bureau project, and it is by all accounts a main gun-centric destroyer, but we have set it up for torpedoes as per usual for this channel and myself. So with that, let's get into the setup of the ship and the commander, who is Stig Ericson. Base trait is Thunderbolt, which improves the engine boost cooldown time and torpedo damage. Then we went with a double concealment setup here for the inspirations with Eric Bay Shifty and Deng Shishang. Both of these guys improve the destroyer detectability. Shishang adds a little bit of damage to the torpedoes. Then here we went with Subsurface Venture, which improves the torpedo speed and launcher reload time, but you do take a hit on the main battery reload time. Look at Me Now is the next skill, which improves the sea detectability range yet again, and this is going to be the maximum sea detectability range and concealment that this particular destroyer will have with this commander. Then we have a Perceptive as a third skill, which improves the incoming damage and a torpedo acquisition time, but most importantly, it shows the direction of the closest enemy ship. Here we went with Sheltered Arms, and risk of the main battery being incapacitated and the risk of the torpedo launchers being incapacitated are both improved by 75% here at a legendary rank 2. And we have Unstoppable as the legendary skill, which improves the engine repair time, and it allows for reduced mobility with a disabled engine and or rudder. Damage control party cooldown time is a special effect, and that is improved by 50% when you're within 4.5 kilometers of an enemy ship, and that is at legendary rank 2. Going up to legendary rank 4 will max that distance out to 7.5 kilometers. All right, and then the upgrades for the Gdańsk. First one is Aiming Systems Mod 1. Main battery dispersion is improved, as is the torpedo launcher traverse speed. And then here we went with Steering Gears Mod 2, which improves the rudder shift time. Then we maxed out the concealment with Concealment System Mod 1. Sea detectability range is improved, as is the incoming fire dispersion. That doubles up on your fully upgraded camo or skin. Here we did go with Gunfire Control System Mod 2, since it's supposed to be a little bit of a gunboat. I was checking out a gunboat build, and when I went all torpedoes, I did not switch over to the torpedo improvement here because it didn't really make that huge of a difference on the torpedo reload time. So this is a little bit of a hybrid setup, I guess, but this is mostly a torpedo-centric build and a situation here. Loadout, high explosive shells, only no armor-piercing shells, and we have the torpedoes. Damage control party, duration is 5 seconds, reloads every 40 seconds, and those consumables are unlimited. Smoke generator consumable, duration is 20 seconds, disperses every minute and a half, and reloads every 4 minutes, it looks like, and we have 2 of those consumables. Then here we could go with the engine boost or the AA consumable, and we're using engine boost, and maximum speed is improved by 90% when the boost is running for a minute and a half, reloads every 116 seconds, and there are 3 of those. And then we have 3 radar consumables, which goes out to 9 kilometers, but it only runs for 15 seconds, kind of like the Black. And the reload time is 2 minutes, and yeah, 3 of those. We're not running any boosters at the moment, but it could change depending on the match. And here I could have used the permanent camo, and I may still do that, but for this particular setup, I went with Community Contributor Camouflage. Sea detectability range and incoming fire dispersion is 4.5% respectively. Specs, survivability hit points is 24,400. We have no armor to speak of. Artillery, you have 4 guns. They reach out to 11.6 kilometers with this build, so it is still a pretty good gunboat setup here. Reload time is 5.5 seconds. Traverse time is about 13 seconds, and maximum HE shell damage is 2,000 with a 10% chance of setting fire. Torpedoes, you have 2 launchers of 5 torpedoes each. They reload every 101 seconds. Maximum damage is 11,822. Range is 10 kilometers with an 86 knot speed, and that is pretty good. AA defenses, you have 28 guns, 3.1 kilometers, 4 kilometers. You may clear the sky, or I don't know about clearing the sky, but you'll probably knock down a few aircraft into Gdańsk. Maneuverability, maximum speed is 43 knots. Turning circle radius, though, is pretty bad at almost 1 kilometer, 810 meters, 3.4 second reload time, or 3.4 second rudder shift time. But this is why, for the upgrade, I went with the steering gears here, because the turning circle radius was so horrendous. And actually, because the turning circle radius is so terrible, it doesn't matter how good your rudder shift time is, you're still only going to be able to move at that very terrible turn radius. Concealment detectability range by sea is 5.3 kilometers with this setup, and that is the maximum you're going to be able to get. Range by air is 3 kilometers, and detectability while firing into smoke is not much better at 2.9 kilometers. Armor, no armor to speak of. Overview, the ship is fast with an above average maximum movement speed, and you will get over 40 knots here. Ship is equipped with HE shells only, with an above average HE shell damage and fire setting chances and capabilities. All right. Short range, low torpedo range, but that is a 10 kilometer range as we saw, and it does go at 80 something knots, so they are pretty fast. So then, as far as the Gdańsk goes, Poland was aimed for naval superiority through quality rather than quantity, designing large destroyers to compete with light cruisers. In late 1930s, several projects were considered in Gdynia, including the Mogador class destroyers, which were comparable to light cruisers in some aspects and superior in others, such as speed. If built in France, these destroyers would have been upgraded with Soviet air defense systems, radars, and torpedoes in the 1950s and 60s. Year of design was 1939, and it doesn't look like there were any ships in the series. All right, well, that's it for the setup of the ship and a commander. Let's go out in a standard battle and see what we can do with a torpedo setup on a gunboat. All right, here we are. We're on Shards, Shimakaze on the red team, and it is a truncated match. So that is not something I think just about every player is thrilled about, is the truncated matches. See a lot of complaints about that. I certainly don't like a truncated match. I feel like I'm sort of wasting my time, but you got to go with what you get, right? So we're just going to go ahead here, since we're in the center, and we're going to go and see if we can take B. And if we run into the Shimakaze, if the Shimakaze has started in the center spawn and he's going toward B, well, Shimakaze isn't really much of a gunboat, right? So should have no problem here with the Gdańsk, unless we get spotted. So the Shimakaze, no doubt, has better concealment than we do. So if they built into the concealment, we do kind of have to worry about that. And then once we're spotted, it's expected these days that the entire red team is just going to focus on my ship and do their best to take us out. But all we see so far is the Montana, and it looks like the closest enemy ship is over on the other side of that island. So I don't know what ship that is. It could be the Shimakaze, but I'm not sure. But at 13 kilometers away, the Montana is not the closest ship to my proximity. So we are going to turn around and just like loiter around in B and try to capture B without being spotted. Looks like whatever that closest enemy ship is still behind the island. So it's probably a capital ship, not a destroyer. Now it looks like he may, whatever ship that is come around from behind the island, and maybe we will find
that Shimakaze eventually, but now we're going to come around here on the edge of this base, take some shots at the Montana. Minute and a half reload time that you see there, about 100 seconds. As we saw, there is a Großer first, and we are just going to stop right here on the edge. We are keeping our hull more or less parallel, well, perpendicular, straight on to where we kind of think the destroyer is going to be coming from. We don't necessarily have to worry about the Großer first with torpedoes at all, or the Montana. So since I want to be very cautious with my smoke, because if I deploy the smoke, everyone's going to know where I'm at, and I give away the only real advantage I have is the concealment, and the red team has no idea where I'm at this point, except for the fact that I captured the base. The only ship that can get in there quick enough to do that is the destroyer, so people probably do have a good idea about that. But I am going to loiter around and try to take out the Großer first here. Yeah, the Montana is moving away, but the Großer first is going broadside to us. So in another 26 seconds, we can do our best to take him out. And what you're going to see here, spoiler alert, at the end of the game is, with this truncated match, the winning team is going to have a huge amount of XP for just about every single ship in the match. So I can't tell you, I'm not going to end up at the top of the leaderboard, but it's going to be a pretty good score. There is a Shimakaze, so that is awesome. Are we going to catch this guy in the smoke? Doesn't look like he's moving around, so this would be sort of like the oldest trick in the book, is to take that guy out with torpedoes just by sitting in the smoke screen and not moving around. The Montana, he's going broadside now, so we can take a shot at him with the torpedoes. And we are just going to move out of the area right there and come and check out the Marlborough, who is taking C. So yeah, we are just going to harass these guys another minute before we can reload. With HE shells only on this ship, that doesn't really do us much good against cruisers, and a lot of times in a destroyer you like to try to get citadel hits if you get broadside cruisers, and you don't have any of that here. And there, one of the battleships did take 3 torpedo hits, but he damaged conned immediately. And yeah, non-gunboat versus gunboat, I'm going to go for it against the Shimakaze. I don't think the Shimakaze has that great of a gun traverse speed, and you can see his guns are really pointing away from us. They are not traversing toward us at all, and I think he's going to be gone by the time his guns get around or don't get around to us. But yeah, so we have drifted out of the smoke screen, but don't have to worry about anybody spotting us, as it turns out. So we do have a huge lead now, and this is sort of like one of the problems with a truncated match, is it doesn't take long before one of the teams is basically devastated, and it's going to be a very short match, it looks like. So we are 6 minutes in, 5.5 minutes in. We're going to come around here and see if we could do something with the Marlborough, but he doesn't have that much health left, and 9 times out of 10, when you come around behind the mountain or island to try to take a guy out, your teammate is taking him out. That seems to happen just as often as when you get your guns on a target, the target disappears. That happens. I've heard a lot of other players say that they've noticed the same thing. So it's not just me that notices that. That appears to be a feature of the game. So we are going to come around here and try to take this guy out. But like I said, as soon as I come around this island, I think he does get taken out. I don't think we get any shots on him at all. Maybe we're going to get a shot here. So probably by the time the torpedoes would hit him, he gets taken out. But there's a Montana, and that guy does not have sonar or radar at all, and that is he's just a gigantic target. With the red team without their destroyer, that is a huge disadvantage for them. So Let me see. Are we going to get the guy? We might get the guy. To be honest, I forget. I had this battle a few days before I recorded the commentary for it. So, yeah, I'm turning out from the Montana. I don't want to get within... yeah, okay, so I guess we took out the... I think there was a Grossiger first there. And... Or the Marlborough, I think it was, but this guy is just... no, it looks like he damaged Con for a while. It looked like he was either flooding or on fire. But we're just going to wait here. We're going to back into the base. And, yeah, it looks like the guns are not pointed toward us. So we're just going to sit here and take some shots at him. His secondaries are outside of our range, so he cannot hit us with his secondaries. And now here come the main guns. So traverse time on the Montana is pretty good, but he only got one hit on us for 4,000 damage. And it looks like he's going to be taken out in short order here. So there you go. We destroyed the Montana. Now it's just the Zao we have to go up against. And in general, if you're in a destroyer, you don't really want to go up against a cruiser if you could at all help it. They're very maneuverable. They can avoid your torpedoes. And many times the main guns reload so quickly that you really don't have a chance. So nonetheless, we do basically have our full team. So I am just going to come over here and capture C. And yeah, 6 minutes left. It is quite a ways left in the match. So here we're going to capture C just to get the XP. Then we're going to go after the Zao. But it looks like at any moment the match could be over with only 55 points on the opposing team. And yeah, if the Zao gets taken out, and to be honest, I don't really know how much health the Zao has, but looks like, according to the mini-map right there, that our cruiser is making a beeline for the Zao, so we might not even get to capture this base. All right, so we captured the base, and we are going to go after the Zao. So at this point, we're just heading over toward A to try to confront the Zao, but with all my teammates over there, we are not going to make it in time, and he's going to get taken out in short order, and that will be the end of the match. And that's just the way it goes on these truncated matches. So there you go. He got taken out by the Schlieffen. Battle is ended. Big time victory for the Gdańsk. And yeah, let's check this out for a second. 259,000 credits on 45 main gun hits, only 50,000 total damage performance, 3 detected ships, 4 torpedo hits, and with the pan-European deficit on torpedo damage, that's why 4 torpedo hits, you only get 52,000 damage, even though we did get a couple floodings. We did get a couple solo captures and a defended, and let's see how we did on the team result. All right, so third place overall, which generally is not too bad, but with only 6 players on the team, that, you know, I guess it's not so great. But look at the scores on the blue team here: 2600 XP, 2500 XP, 2500 XP, 2300, 2000, and 1600 for the bottom place guys. So this is really a lopsided match as far as XP goes, and you saw what you know, a couple captured bases and a defended, I guess, is all it takes to get 2500 XP. Let me know down below if you can explain why my performance was able to get myself 2500 XP, but not a bad performance for a gunboat that is set up for torpedoes, I gotta say. And none of this stuff really matters. It just matters how you play the game. So let's check out the economy tab and see how many silver credits we earned by the time it was all said and done. All right, well, there you go. That's it for the Gdańsk Bureau Project, a gunboat with a torpedo build, and you can still do pretty well depending on how you play the game. And nothing else, you got to see a little bit about the ship. Let me know what you think down below. This is the Jaguar, and I'll see you on the high seas. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you like it.